Are you
Your
lost
move,
too,
champ.
mister?
Hehe.
Those five
You're
little
doing
words belonged
great.
to a child, but they struck a grown man like a forgotten truth returning home. On December 24th, inside an airport swollen with holiday chaos, those words changed everything because sometimes, it takes a child to see the wounds adults hide. The airport churned with frantic movement. Rolling luggage clattered along tiles polished by thousands of hurried steps. Warm coats billowed with gusts of winter air as doors swung open and closed, and the constant drone of delayed announcements tangled with the restless murmur of tired travelers. Snow crushed visibility outside. Flights blinked red across the departure screens. Everywhere, people rushed in hopes of getting home for Christmas. Except for one man who did not rush at all. Graham Lockcatch sat near the wide glass windows in a quiet corner of Terminal C. He wore a tailored charcoal suit that fit him like it belonged to his bones, a silver watch that ticked with the precision of a man who controlled time itself, and shoes polished enough to catch reflections. Everything about him looked orderly, composed, untouchable, except the small worn teddy bear sitting beside his chair. Every few minutes he glanced at the departure board, though his face barely changed as his flight remained indefinitely delayed. Outside the window, snowflakes swirled in heavy clusters across the airport tarmac. But Graham didn't see the planes or the people. He stared through the glass as if remembering something he could never quite reach. The bear's stitching was frayed around one ear. One button eye was sewn slightly lower than the other. It was clearly old, cherished, and very out of place next to a leather briefcase costing more than most cars. He held it with the tenderness of a man gripping the last thread of something precious. It was a gift, one that never reached the girl it was meant for. 5 years had passed, but Lost didn't care about calendars. He sat alone, perfectly still, drowning quietly in the noise around him. Then a tiny tug pulled at the sleeve of his coat. He blinked slowly, startled out of his silent spiral. When he turned, he met the wide brown eyes of a little girl no older than 5. She stood with her boots slightly pigeon-toed, her cheeks rosy from the cold, her neat hat shaped like a cat's head with 2 tiny curled ears. Her small backpack, pink with sticker stars peeling at the edges, hung from one shoulder. She looked at him with pure, unfiltered trust. "Are you lost too, mister?" she asked, clutching her backpack straps and peering up at him. "I can help you find your mommy." The words hit him hard, not because of their meaning but because of their innocence. They came from a world he no longer knew how to enter. A world where problems could be fixed by simply taking someone's hand and walking. He meant to tell her he wasn't lost. That adults didn't get lost in the ways children thought they did. But he couldn't force the lie out. Because deep down, the truth was louder. So he answered her question with one of his own. "Are you lost?" The little girl nodded, but her smile somehow remained bright. "Mommy was right here. Then I saw the candy shop. I just turned around for 1 second. I wanted to look at the jelly beans. The red ones are my favorite." She lifted her chin with confidence far bigger than her size. "But I'm brave. I can find her again. Do you want to look with me?" A responsible man, a logical man, a CEO of his stature should have alerted staff immediately. He should have walked her to security, reported her missing, and stepped away. Instead, when she extended her mitten-covered hand, trusting him without hesitation, something warm and forgotten stirred inside him. He rose slowly from his seat, towering above her. She didn't flinch. She simply wiggled her hand as if reminding him it was waiting. He looked at her hand. Then at the bear. Then back at her. "You're sure?" he asked softly. She nodded. "Mommy says when you're scared, stay kind. Kindness finds the way back." He didn't understand why his chest tightened at that. "Let's find her together," he said. Her smile stretched across her whole face. "Okay." Her small glove fingers wrapped around his, and she tugged him toward the bustling terminal. They walked past clusters of travelers, past windows glowing with holiday lights, past shops decorated with fake snow and wreaths. Some people slowed to stare. A tall suited man holding the hand of a tiny girl in a cat hat was an unexpected sight. But the pair moved with a shared purpose, one leading with innocence, the other following with something he had not felt in years, hope. She chatted as they walked, her voice tiny but bubbling with confidence. "My name is Sophie," she said. "I'm 5 3/4. Mommy is writing a book about a turtle who wants to fly." "A flying turtle," he repeated. "It's very serious," she confirmed with a stern nod. "He tries very hard." He almost laughed. A sound he didn't recognize at first. A sound he hadn't made in so long. They checked the candy shop first. Then the food court. Then the airport play area. Every moment, Sophie swung her little backpack, humming holiday songs slightly off-key. But her mother wasn't anywhere. Graham knelt beside her near an information kiosk. "We'll find her, Sophie." She looked around with growing concern but then whispered, "Mommy says magic works better when you don't give up." He didn't believe in magic. But standing beside this tiny girl, he wanted to. A nearby employee approached. "Sir, is that your daughter?" Sophie glanced up at him. She trusted him. "Yes," Graham said quietly. "And we're trying to find her mom." The employee nodded and directed them toward the security desk. Moments later, the airport intercom crackled overhead with an announcement describing a missing child with brown curls and a red coat. Sophie's eyes lit up. "They found us," she exclaimed. "The magic worked." They hurried through crowded corridors until Sophie suddenly gasped. "Mommy!" A woman with blonde hair pulled hastily into a messy bun whirled around at the sound. Her eyes were red from worry, scanning endlessly until her gaze collided with her daughter running full speed toward her. "Baby," she cried, dropping to her knees as Sophie flew into her arms. Clara held her close as if she were afraid the world might dissolve if she let go. When she finally looked up, she saw the man who had brought her daughter back. Graham stood at a respectful distance, unsure if he should stay or slip away unnoticed. But Clara stepped closer, still holding Sophie's hand. "Thank you," she whispered, meaning it with every fiber of her being. "I don't know how to repay you." "You don't need to," he replied. She found her way back. "I only walked beside her." Clara noticed the teddy bear peeking out from Sophie's arms. "Where did she get that?" Sophie held it out proudly. "It was lonely," she said. "So I carried it for him." Clara's eyes softened. Graham's did too, though subtly, like a shadow shifting when the light moves. Then another announcement boomed, another delay. The three of them, connected by circumstance, stood in the middle of swirling chaos while time seemed to slow around them. Graham cleared his throat. "There's a quiet restaurant upstairs. Warm food. Somewhere to sit." Clara hesitated, but Sophie's tug on her sleeve decided it. "I'd like that," she murmured. They shared a booth in a quiet cafe where warm soup and soft lighting melted the cold dread that had lodged in Clara's chest. Sophie drifted asleep under the blanket Graham ordered without fanfare. Clara watched him more closely then. Not as a stranger but as someone she sensed carried a heaviness he rarely shared. When he told her she was doing a good job, as a mother, as a woman trying to build a life, her eyes stung before she could stop it. Those words had been missing from her world for too long. Hours stretched. Snow kept falling. Flights kept delaying. In the VIP lounge later, Sophie challenged Graham to a checkers tournament. She beat him twice. His laughter surprised them all, even him. Then she gifted him a broken homemade cookie, wrapped in tissue paper. "For you," she whispered. "Because mommy says good things should be shared." He kept it like treasure. Clara watched him tuck it gently into his wallet. For the first time, Graham looked like a father again, or a man trying to remember how to be one. When their flight was finally moved ahead, Clara packed her things with a strange heaviness in her stomach. Part of her felt like walking away would erase something she hadn't had time to name yet. Graham handed her a folded note. His personal email. A soft invitation to keep their small, unexpected constellation alive. He didn't ask for anything. He just offered presence. On the plane, Clara found the teddy bear tucked into her bag. The gesture was simple but felt like emotion stitched into fabric. Their messages grew over the next months. Slow, steady, meaningful. Pieces of their lives drifting closer with each exchange. Graham's grief thawed. Clara's courage grew. Sophie's drawings often included a tall man she called Mr. G, holding the hand of a smiling little girl. One day Clara sent him a manuscript. A story about a girl who got lost and found everything. He read it until dawn. And then, without telling her, he sent it to a publisher. The book was accepted. Not because he pushed, but because the story had a pulse of truth. Clara cried when she read the acceptance email. Not for herself, but because someone besides her daughter believed she could create something beautiful. A year later, when Clara and Sophie stepped off the plane for a holiday visit, Sophie spotted him before Clara did. He knelt down just as she ran into his arms. "I found you again," she squealed. "No," he whispered into her hair. "I just came to where I knew you'd be." Clara reached them a moment later. She stopped in front of him, breathing in the familiarity she didn't realize she missed this much. She didn't say anything at first. She didn't need to. He held out the hardcover book she had written, the one born from a night in an airport and a moment of unexpected connection. "You gave me this story," he said. "I think it's time we start the next chapter." Clara's smile was soft, wondering, hopeful. Some beginnings don't start with fireworks. Some start with a lost little girl, a lonely man, a forgotten teddy bear. And the kind of Christmas magic that asks for nothing, changes everything, and finds the people who didn't know they needed to be found. If this story touched you, stay with us for more heart-moving journeys. There's always another miracle waiting to be told.